Eclipse. They are opening the dome. Welcome, everybody, to Toronto Sky Dome. They're going to take the roof off, and they've got a big game here as the Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays game 2 of their 2-game set. Why does it matter? In the American League East, New York Yankees on top by 7.5 over the Jays. Red Sox 8 behind. Put it together for the wild card, though, and these two teams suddenly are really close. The Blue Jays just a half game ahead of Boston for the wild card spot, and the A's are still in it, just 4 games behind. For Toronto, they have been the red-hot team. Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and today they helped themselves again from the Mariners. David Segui is now going to be a member of this team, a .283 career hitter, first base, DH, and the outfield. They've got 2 great young stars, almost unknown in baseball, one by the name of Shawn Green, who is putting up magnificent numbers. He's got 29 home runs, 3rd in the American League, 85 RBIs, tied for 4th. In the middle of that lineup with him, Carlos Delgado, another big stick for Toronto. Look at the numbers and placement here. 25 home runs, tied for 5th, 88 RBIs, 3rd in the American League. Ray Knight, a couple of big sticks in the middle by a team a lot of people don't know much about.
They really don't. This team has 4 guys tonight that are 25 years old and younger. Shawn Green, along with those 29 home runs, 30 doubles, 17 stolen bases. The American League answer to Larry Walker. He can do everything. Delgado, on the other hand, is a guy the go-to guy, the undisputed leader of this ball club, a guy that you want up there in crunch time. He chases high pitches. That's the only thing that you have to watch out with him. If he gets a good ball, he's really dangerous.
Red Sox struggling since the All-Star break, trying to get it back. They've got some help. Butch Husky, also from Seattle, acquired, and he entered this lineup in the ball game yesterday and almost came in big time.
Well, he certainly did. He came over here, hit a ball out of the ballpark. The umpires ruled it as a single. It hit back there on the towel. We got that replay back at ESPN, and he thought it was a home run, but it was actually a single. But he's a man that actually can add firepower to this ball club. Between O'Leary and Garcia-Parra, a man that oppositional pitchers can be scared of. He does have some thump, and they sorely need some offensive firepower.
Red Sox got some good news today. Not only do they have Husky, but Pedro Martinez is coming off the DL, and he will pitch on Tuesday. We'll show you some shots of him throwing prior to today's game. Let's take a look at our Labatt's Blue lineup for tonight's game for the Red Sox. Darren Lewis will kick it off in center field, batting first. John Valentin will be second. Daubach, who's red hot at first base. Garcia-Parra, the cleanup spot. Look at the numbers. 3rd in the American League with a .352 batting average. Troy O'Leary follows him, then Husky, Veritek, Sadler, and Trot Nixon in right field, batting 9th with some pretty good numbers.
And on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays, Joey Hamilton, 3 and 5, 6.93. Been really working hard with pitching coach Mel Queen to get his step a little shorter. He's got a good sinker. Has come back this year with a slider and an outstanding changeup.
Toronto really needs him to be hot here in the second half of the season on the mound. They want a game out of him tonight. Joey Hamilton ready to go, and the fastball is in there. Darren Lewis leading it off for the Red Sox.
Another thing to look for, Gary, with Joey Hamilton is he's going to come right at this hitters, try to get him early in the count to swing the bat. Doesn't want to get into heavy pitch counts. So what you're going to look for tonight is Joey Hamilton coming right at hitters, throwing strikes early, getting ahead in the count as he already has here to Darren Lewis, trying to get out and not getting a deep pitch.
And Hamilton's a guy the Red Sox know they want to get to early. Hamilton has had a disastrous first inning situation this year. I mean, this is by far the worst inning he faces. He's allowed runs in the first inning in 6 of his 11 starts, 10 runs total in the first inning. Hitters are .344 against him. So you can bet over there on the Toronto bench, they sit and look hoping this is not that kind of a first inning against Boston. Missed with a slider that's down and away to Darren Lewis with that .265 average. And the count goes to a ball and 2 strikes.
Hamilton, one of those high-energy guys, and it's very tough for him to get everything geared down in the first inning. So he overthrows. His ball doesn't sink as much. His slider is flat. Once he can get through there with 15, 18 pitches in the first inning, he tends to settle down.
Hamilton has had 2 consecutive starts that have been of quality nature for Toronto. That one popped up in the air behind second base. Bautista, the shortstop, will want it. Puts it away, and Lewis is retired.
On defense for the Blue Jays, you see there at Bautista in center field, Cruz, Stewart, But Batista's a big guy coming over here from Tampa Bay and doing a tremendous job. Actually, Arizona doing a tremendous job offensively. Again, from the Arizona Diamondbacks.
He has probably made the difference, Ray, in this ball club here in the second half. Batista's been a huge surprise for this team, average-wise, leadership-wise, and defensively has been just untouchable out there at shortstop.
Well, you don't think that you can replace a guy like Alex Gonzalez, one of the fine young shortstops in the game. Batista comes over here, has done a great job defensively, which wasn't really expected. They've talked about him not having great range, even on natural turf, but his bat has been so explosive, and Jim Fregosi said before the game that he's making all the plays defensively.
They love him. Foul back. John Valentin at the plate with a 2-strike count on him in a hurry. There are the numbers for Valentin of the Red Sox, 5 for 17 on the current road trip. The Red Sox are on, wrapping up a 2-game set here tonight in Toronto. They'll be returning to Boston for a day off tomorrow. Hamilton. And he'll brush him back a little bit. Hamilton can throw the ball hard. And he's not afraid to come in. The reason he's here is former great pitcher Dave Stewart. He's now with Toronto in the front office as assistant GM. Stewart was with San Diego, as was Hamilton last year. And Stewart likes Hamilton, has always liked him. And he urged the Blue Jays to try and acquire him, and they did. Foul back by Valentin. Count holds, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, Gary, for that San Diego ball club, in '96 when I was managing the Red, this guy was 15-9, and we really tried hard to acquire him, but he was an untouchable. The next year, won 12 games, and then last year won 13 after a good start, struggling last part of the season, but he is really a guy that comes at you hard, likes to throw inside, has trouble throwing strikes sometimes because the movement on his sinker is so immense that he doesn't know where to start it. Then when he starts it over the outside part of the plate, it gets fat when it moves back over the middle of the plate.
They've tried to shorten up his stride a bit to get more control, and he had it right there. So Hamilton gets the strikeout on Valentin, and there are 2 down.
It's just a 4-seam fastball where he comes right over the top, not a lot of movement. And Valentin looking for a ball that is sinking. This ball is just right there, little bit up for Valentin. Valentin, a low ball hitter. But a different look. Again, you throw 2 sinkers and a slider, and then you throw a 4-seam fastball, a pitch he hasn't seen yet during the at-bat, and he misses it.
Brian Daubach up. One of the big surprises for the Boston Red Sox this year has been the consistency of this young man at the plate. That's an outstanding set of numbers right there with that .321 average. And that one just missed outside. A check at third. Ted Barrett says no, and the count goes to 1-1. Daubach's been not only consistent with the average, but a clutch hitter for the team this year. That's why he's got those RBIs. Fouls that one off late on a fastball. Boston Red Sox, always noted for power, over the last couple of seasons, of course, have gone to pitching and have become a team contending for the postseason because of that pitching. And Pedro Martinez is the very top of that pile right there. To be back on Tuesday, coming off the DL, he's ready to go, and they need him, because their pitching right now is struggling. Martinez threw today, threw yesterday, and that big smile tells you about all you need to know. He is just delighted with the fact that the arm feels good and that he'll be the starting pitcher. And with those numbers, I think the Red Sox aren't smiling too. 15-3 and a Cy Young Award contender and probable winner in the American League if he does anything in the second half like he did in the first. Daubach waiting with 2 down, and the fastball from Hamilton misses. 3-ball, 2-strike count on the Red Sox number 3 hitter. Jimmy Williams with the Red Sox team. They got off to the flying start. 54-46. They've been as many as 10 games over 500. With the injuries, he's had to do some extra managing. Off the end of the bat towards second base. Homer Bush over to get it, and that will do it. So Hamilton gets through what's been his toughest inning all year long. That's the first. Retires the side in order. And some of that power's coming up. Tuesday Night Baseball. Let's take a look at the starting lineup, brought to you by Labatt Blue. It will be at the top Shannon Stewart, then the 2 Greens, Willie Green and Sean Green, who's going for a 26-game hit streak. It would be It would tie a record in Toronto franchise history if he can get it. Carlos Delgado, Tony Bautista, Darren Fletcher, Willis Huttonez making the start at third base again tonight. Jose Cruz in center and Homer Bush hitting ninth.
Pitching for the Boston Red Sox, Pat Rapp, 2-5, 4.80 earned run average, 32 years old. Been with 3 different clubs in the last 4 years. There you see his starts. In those 13 starts, 5 times he hasn't gotten out of the 3rd inning. Has a fastball, not overpowering, 85 to 88 miles an hour. A big curveball that has to be on in order for him to be effective.
Those are some of the numbers, Ray, we were talking about bothering this Red Sox pitching staff. Pat Rapp has not won in his last 5 starts. 3 losses and 2 no decisions. Shannon Stewart, speedster. And he takes the pitch for a strike. A 5-game hit streak for Stewart. One of the Major League's best leadoff batters, 380 on-base percentage. He leads the American League in singles, and he is 5th in infield hits. And that's all about speed. He's also at the top of the pile in stolen bases. So Toronto's got the kind of guy Major League clubs look for to be the initial table setter. He has done it for him this year. 2 for 9, lifetime off Rapp. Takes the pitch inside and gets ahead on the count. 2 balls, 1 strike.
What 2 hitters on this ball club, Stewart and Delgado, have done, they've gotten selective. Only 25-year-old Shannon Stewart. And it's really pretty uncommon to see a young man at 25 leading off. Generally, you start down hitting 2nd, 7th, 8th, and he's worked his way up to leading off. He led off last year with the 90 runs there. Delgado, as I said, the great leader of this ball club, always up, always positive. Shawn Green right there to his left. I think fundamentally the best looking hitter that there is in all of baseball.
And swung on and missed as he chased high heat. So he built him up just in time to strike him out. 1 down.
The Red Sox on defense struggling. They're 7th in the league defensively, right in the middle of the pack. You see Darren Lewis, probably the best defensive player. And Sadler there at second base, getting only his 2nd start, taking over for Jose Offerman, who is really disappointed of late with the bat and defensively. Pretty gutsy move for Jimmy Williams to make that move in the middle of a pennant race.
Offerman has really kind of forced that issue because he's batting under 200 over the last month, in fact. And when someone's got an average dipping that low, no matter what he'd done before, you go a month with a guy and see him drop down to about 187 over that time period. You got to make a move, so they're resting him, hoping to get the bat going again. Willie Green 3 for 4 last night in that 11-9 Red Sox win as they came from a 7-3 deficit last night to get the W. Nasty slider down and in from Rapp.
Sadler at second base is about 4 steps on the outfield carpet behind the white line there. Willie Green pulls a lot of balls, hits a ball right in that hole between 1st and 2nd. And scouting report with Jimmy Williams, that's where they're playing.
Willie Green, 1-2 delivery to him, and Rapp another nasty pitch down and in. So he's got a couple of strikeouts here, 2 down. That'll bring up one of the fan favorites here in Toronto, and for good reason. One of the game's best, Shawn Green. Well, I'll tell you, there's the 25-game hit streak. John Olerud, back when he won the batting title here in '93, had a 26-game hit streak, the franchise's longest. A base hit tonight will tie that if Green can get it. He's gone 37 for 102 during the 25-game streak, 10 homers and 24 RBIs during that streak. And Rapp comes on the inside corner. Rapp's keeping the ball down here in the 1st inning and getting it in there quickly. 0-2.
Well, I mentioned fundamentally sound as a hitter, the best in the game, and we're going to watch Shawn Green tonight and watch his hands, his hand action, the way he positions his feet at the plate, his balance, how he preps to hit, choking up there with 2 strikes.
Went outside to him and missed it. Green is a legitimate MVP candidate in the American League. He is 9th in batting, 4th in runs, 1st in total bases, 2nd in doubles, 3rd in home runs, 1st in extra base hits, tied for 4th in RBIs. I mean, that is a great year. To short. Can he get one on the leg? Bounce to first, and he's on. We'll have to wait for the scoring. That could easily be a base hit in a 26-game hit streak. The fans want it.
That's a tough play. He's got to give him a hit on that ball. Shortstop going in a hole, backhanding it. Sean Green, with evidence of his 35 steals last year and his 30 doubles, has great speed. Here at 2 strikes, choking up and driving the ball the other way, and he could flat out run. This should be a base hit on the carpet. Very tough to set your feet and throw. And they have. They've given him base hit.
There it is. Sean Green has tied John Olerud's mark, set in 93 with a 26-game hit streak, and he tips his cap. Well, it didn't take him long to get that done. Garcia-Pera tried to bounce one off the carpet to get him and couldn't do it. So a 2-out single by Green, and now Carlos Delgado. And Raps jammed him that time. Sadler, playing shallow right field, makes the play, and that'll retire the side. No runs, but a base hit, 1 left on. Now tying the club record, the man who had it before, 1993, now plays for the Mets. His name, John Olerud, one of the sweet swingers still in all of baseball. This was back in 93 with Toronto. John Olerud. Yes, they were on the move with him. That's when they had Alomar and Olerud and some really great teams here, and they're hoping this is kind of the second go-around for Toronto. That's management's hope, led by Green, Delgado, and these fine young players you're seeing tonight. Only took 18 pitches for Hamilton to get through the first inning and retire the Red Sox in order. Nomar Garcia-Pera, 3rd in the league with that .352 average, and he takes the first pitch down low for a ball. Garcia-Pera was all ears today in the Red Sox clubhouse when the rumor that proved to be true went around that David Segui had been traded from the Mariners to Toronto after the Red Sox had just picked up Husky from the Mariners. And believe me, Garcia-Pera expressed the view of most of the Bo Sox people when he said, damn. That about covered it. Foul back. But that's a good deal. David Segui is going to help this Toronto team.
You're not kidding, buddy. They've been looking for somebody to plug in there between Green and Delgado to separate those 2 left-handed bats. And Segui is a great guy to do that. Switch hitter, power from both sides. Excellent contact hitter.
The short, Bautista's there. Garcia-Pera is retired. David Segui is another one of the real fine contact hitters in baseball. I mean, he puts the ball in play and he'll give you some dingers.
Tough out. And one thing that this Toronto Blue Jay lineup does is strike out a lot. They're leading the league with 684 Ks, by far the most in the AL. And he's the type of hitter that will give you a tough at bat and make it tough for the pitchers. And as a result of that, Sean Green and Delgado will get better pitches.
Tom Davies, a possible major leaguer for the future, but really this was a deal where Toronto did not have to give up much to get a player who's going to help him right now. Segui not here, obviously, with the trade announced late today. Should be joining the team tomorrow. And Jim Fregosi, is last thing he's going to do is gloat, but he couldn't help but smile today when he was talking about the announcement. Troy O'Leary grounds to second base. Play made in a hurry by Bush. There are 2 down. Let's check in with Trey Wingo. Trey.
All right, Gary and Ray. Midas takes us to Atlanta. No score in the first inning. Bases loaded for Marquise Grissom. A little number just over the glove of Brett Boone, allowing Mark Loretta to score to make it 1-0. Milwaukee trying to end that 5-game losing streak. Gary and Ray, back to you.
Ray will keep us covered on the other games going on around Major League Baseball on this Wednesday and Wednesday night. Here there are 2 down. Nobody on. Hamilton's retired 5 in a row now, and here's the designated hitter and the newest member of the Boston Red Sox, Butch Husky. Made his debut with a 3-for-5 ball game last night. Should have had that home run, but it was called back after it hit the back of the fence and the towel over there in the bullpen and came back onto the field. Ended up with just a single. He's got power. Towards second base here, soft liner hauled in. pretty good inning. Hamilton, only 9 pitches to retire the Red Sox this inning. He has started out tough. We'll see Bautista when we come back.
Trey Wingo in the Baseball Tonight studios with you. We take you to the vet, Marlins and Phillies. Kevin Jordan has played so well in the lineup when he's in there for Scott Rowland, and he does it again. Rolling out, Jordan in, and that means Ron Gant comes in with the game's first run. Phillies lead at 1-0. Gary and Ray, back to you.
Trey, thanks very much. Philadelphia still very much in the contest. In the National League East, they're 6.5 behind Atlanta. They're in the wild card race as well. No score here. Red Sox and Jays. Sky Dome is open. Beautiful day here in Toronto and a great evening. That one foul back. Tony Bautista, who we were talking about earlier. He's got a 6-game hit streak coming into this. And they lost their starting shortstop and went looking for somebody to play that position. Never in their wildest dreams did they think they were going to get out of Bautista what they have gotten, both in the field and at the plate. Came over from Arizona June 12. They also got right-hander John Frascatore, who's been outstanding in the bullpen. Slider misses away. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And probably the wildest stance in all the game. There's a lot of things that he does wrong prior to hitting. His setup, his hand position. Look at all this. I mean, but when he gets positioned, his hands move up just below his shoulder. His left knee goes toward second base. His hip is cocked. But this is something that no hitting coach taught, ladies and gentlemen. This is something he learned in the backyard.
Gary Matthews, the hitting instructor at Toronto. Don't try this at home. And a line shot to center field. This Judge Lewis, who finds it. Bautista retired, 1 away.
Gary Matthews charting where he's hitting, but there he comes to the ball a little away from him. That's where he's susceptible. You better not throw him middle in. Look at his hands. He moves them up to the right hitting spot. Gets a little bit on the front side. Leaks a little bit on the ball middle of the plate away. But if you throw him middle in, he's going to hurt you.
He developed that stance himself in the Winter League Caribbean baseball 2 years ago. He wasn't hitting, and he just decided, hey, why not try this? It worked. And as a result, he has stayed with it, and it has really paid off for Bautista. 1 away, Darren Fletcher up. He, too, has got a 6-game hit streak going. A lot of these Jays have hit streaks on the line here tonight. That one, look at this. Sadler in shallow right. In order to play second base the way he's playing it, you've got to have the arm of a shortstop. He is way out there on this carpet in Toronto.
That's a base hit anywhere else. Sadler, we showed you earlier, he's a good 10, 12 feet behind the line, and he goes and takes an angle, which is correct. See how he goes toward the outfield to make the play, sets his right foot and throws, gets him out by 3 steps. Remember, when you're playing second base, excuse me, Gary, when you're playing second base or shortstop or first or third, any infield position, when the ball is going away from you at an angle, you have to angle toward the outfield to cut that ball off, especially if it's bounding on AstroTurf.
And he did. And there are 2 down. Rapp retires the first 2 here. And Willis Otanez batting at .217, getting the time at third base. Tony Fernandez, who's got a chance at a batting title, is out of there. He's got a bad knee, and he too has had some problems at the plate. But right now, the bad knee keeping him out of there, out of the lineup. He has not played since last Friday on the field. He did DH on Saturday. 356, you saw. Big numbers, big start for him. But he too has gone cold. Otanez getting the time now at third base.
Well, he's really a great professional, and I got a story I'll tell you a little bit later about Tony Fernandez. I first met him when he was 14 years old.
You're not that old.
I was about 21.
2 ball, 2 strike count with 2 down. Rapp has already struck out a couple. First 2 he faced, Stewart and Green. Both of these pitchers are starting out looking like they've got some pretty good stuff. .32-year-old right-hander over the top, first base. Babach got an easy play on it, puts it away. Retired the side in order. We have completed 2 here in Toronto, no score. Helped the pitchers a little bit over the years. The hitters benefit more than the pitchers when it's closed. Pitchers get a little break when it's open. Tends to carry a little better here when it's closed at Dome. But it's a night to have it open. Jason Varitek fouls that one off, and a 1-ball 1-strike count from Joey Hamilton. Bottom third of the order for Boston. Varitek, Sadler, and Nixon due up. Jason Varitek working behind the plate. 28% effective in throwing out base stealers, about the major league average for catchers this year. It's usually right around that 30 mark. Takes the fastball inside that time, and the count goes to 2 balls and 1 strike. Blue Jays team red hot. They've won 29 of their last 40. It is the best 40-game stretch in their history. Swung on and missed, and their manager Jim Fregosi has seen a lot of streaks, but he himself 14 years as a manager. Prior to this one, he has never had a streak like this in a 40-game span like his ball club's putting up right now. That one towards the gap. Right center field's going to find it. 375 all the way to the wall. Varitek on his way. Green will get it in, and it's a leadoff double. Jason Varitek. He punched that baby. That's his 23rd two-bagger of the year.
Hamilton trying to get the ball away, gets the ball right in the middle of the plate. You see Fletcher reaching back over the plate, the ball up, and that's the kind of ball that luckily stays in the ballpark. When you miss an area about 4 or 5 inches to the center of the plate, people are going to hammer it.
Now Donnie Sadler, will he try and bunt here? He shows bunt, and they come in from the corners. Otanez and Delgado at third and first. We're playing even with a bag, and once he squared around, they started in. Let's see if he meant it. No score. Third inning. Each team with a hit now. Again shows bunt, fouls it off at the plate. So he meant it. He's got 2 strikes on it.
Well, Gary, what happens in this situation here, generally the manager will say, you get the guy over the best way you can. You try to make him swing the bat. You'd like for him to swing the bat, hit the ball to the right side. What he does here, he squares around. His bat is not even out in front of the plate. It's too far angle is toward first base. Jimmy Williams, playing in the National League for so long, playing for 1 run, which I don't believe will hold up in this ballpark.
And he's going to go here. A good stop made by Fletcher. Runner at second base, nobody out. 1-2 count on Sadler. Sadler, of course, just re-entered this lineup of the Boston Red Sox as he's been recalled from Pawtucket, with Jose Offerman now on the bench. Went 2 for 5 with a double in the ball game last night. Fouls that one off on the first base side, 1 and 2. So Donnie Sadler is getting the playing time, and Offerman's situation, well, remains to be seen, but he's in a pretty ferocious slump right now. These two teams going in different directions since June 13. Look at the numbers here. 500 for Boston, 29 and 11 Toronto. Batting average same, runs not much different. ERA is the difference. ERA for Boston has jumped up, and it has dropped for Toronto. Boston, as we said, lives and dies with its pitching, and right now they're dying with it. He did not go around on it. 2-2.
Some managers, Gary, getting back to the bunt play, some managers will bunt for 1 run. The only time I think about that I think is really correct is in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, when that run will mean something. Early in the game, you like to have the big innings. A bunt right here, you're playing for 1 run. And now he's got 2 strikes on him, punches him out, gets him in a hole.
Hamilton gets his 2nd strikeout. So Sadler did not get the job done. There you see Pedro Martinez. For the Red Sox, the hope of getting those numbers turned around is that he'll be back. Earlier today, he threw long, and then he threw about a half dozen pitches hard. And when it was done, what you really need to know if you're a Red Sox fan is that smile, because it felt good. The shoulder that had bothered him and put him on the DL now feels right. He's due to come off the DL Tuesday and scheduled to pitch on Tuesday for Boston. So Martinez ready to come back, and boy, do they need him. Fastball. Hamilton gets it in at the knees. Trot Nixon. 5 hits in his last 10 at bats, upping his average to 284. The number 9 hitter has got an RBI opportunity right here. Varitek on at second base. And an inside corner strike. Gary Cederstrom, the home plate umpire, looks as though he's got a pretty good strike zone for the pitchers here tonight. Looks, he's calling the inside and outside strikes. Looks pretty wide. Low pitches, we'll see just how wide it goes. Hamilton has been down and into these left-handed hitters all night. Some nasty-looking pitches. He's got that sinking fastball, Joey Hamilton does. So when he's on, it will come in on the hitters. And he'll get a lot of ground balls.
You will, and you also will see this meeting happen more with a runner on second base than any other time in the game, because the hitter is looking out at the second runner on second baseman. Hamilton is using an indicator, and he gets confused sometime, and so they go out there and get everything righted.
Catcher's job, run the show. Aaron Fletcher doing that for Toronto. Nixon takes the pitch, and the count goes 2 balls and 2 strikes. Todd Nixon checking down at third with Wendell Kim as he passes the signs on here on a 2-2 count. Pretty good lead at second base. They're not trying to hold Veritek, who's not a fast runner. Good heat. Well, I tell you, he burned that one in a perfect place. 3 strikeouts, 2 down. Let's check in with Trey Wingo. Trey.
Well, Gary, Manny Ramirez, it seems, trying to make up for lost time. Missed yesterday's game with that knee on the, or pitch rather, off the knee on Monday. And then in his first at bat, he doubles in a run, RBI 103, then 27th homer, 104. And then Jim Thome, back-to-back shots, his 17th. Cleveland has put a 5 spot up, 5-0 over Detroit. Gary, back to you.
Cleveland Indians will probably this year put up offensive numbers equal to none. They will be the biggest offensive team in history. That's what they're on pace to do this season, and they certainly aren't hurting themselves tonight. 2 down here. Darren Lewis trying to come up with a big hit with 2 down, 1 strike count on him. Lewis still has Veritek on at second, who started this inning off with a double. The Sox have not been able to move him. Lewis 245 with runners in scoring position, 264 overall. Veritek will get a big jump at second base as they do not hold him, and the pitch is taken inside. 1-1. Hamilton's getting ahead on these hitters. Makes an enormous difference. That is a problem he's had throughout his career. He's 58 and 49 in his career, and noted for giving up a ton of walks in the past. That, of all things, has really killed him. Tonight, he's on the money. 1-2.
The Blue Jays are using the second sign. We'll see if we can get a little head start on what he's going to throw here. Fastball, slider. He's going to go with a slider.
And a 1-2 count on him, Ray, and there it was. 4 strikeouts for Joey Hamilton, getting ahead of hitters. 7 of 10 first pitches for strikes, and it's working. Sunday Night Baseball, 8 o'clock this Sunday night. These Boston Red Sox will be at home against those New York Yankees. Jeter and company. Nomar Garciaparra and company. And the great rivalry goes on. Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern. How much does that series matter? If the Red Sox are going to make a run at the Yankees, they are going to have to do the damage against the Yankees themselves by the looks of things. So those games are vitally important. Toronto trying to help themselves, but against the Red Sox, it has been a real struggle. The Red Sox are 7-1 against the Toronto Blue Jays this year. That is a big ouch for Toronto, trying to catch Red Sox for the wild card spot right now. Jose Cruz, center fielder, leading it off. Then Homer Bush batting ninth. Stewart at the top of the order. Cruz 10 home runs. Fooled on the off-speed delivery.
Cruz just one of the babies on this ball club. Stewart 25, Willie Green 27, Sean Green 26, Delgado 26, as is Bush. Batista and Otonez is 25. The only player over 30 is Fletcher.
Wow, are these pitchers hitting the corners or what? These hitters right now don't have a chance against either of these starters. 3 strikeouts for Pat Rapp.
Catcher setting up outside. Pat Rapp throwing a little cutter right there. Backdoor cutter, starting the ball 2 or 3 inches off the plate, just moving right back to the mid. Perfectly framed. perfectly thrown.
You know we'd have a pitching matchup when you got Rapp with an ERA of 4.8 and Hamilton with an ERA of 6.93.
Go figure, man.
Rapp's 2-5. Hamilton's 3-5. And both these guys are throwing like they're in game 1 of the World Series here to start the game. Now, bear in mind the old adage in baseball, once through the order's one thing, twice through the order's another. Start the second time around, you could get in trouble. We'll see. Homer Bush, 6-game hit streak, batting 9th. What a pleasant surprise this man has been for Toronto. Always a bench player prior to this year. Homer Bush has come out and put up what everybody here in Toronto believes are legitimate numbers. You say this guy can hit like this for real, that this is not an aberration this season. 3 for 4 in last night's game, 6-game hit streak in which he's gone 10 for 24. Then with the New York Yankees, where about the only thing he did was pinch run. Pitch is taken up high. A 3-0 count.
Graham Lloyd, one of the acquisitions in the Roger Clemens trade, along with Bush.
Left-handed special reliever, and Bush, who's found a job at second base. And he takes a strike. Bush has stolen 22 out of 24 bases this season. So when he gets on in that number 9 spot, Ray, more and more in the American League we see managers trying to find 2 leadoff hitters on their club, one to bat first and one to bat ninth.
Great luxury to have that. A lot of early in the year, early in his career, Nomar Garcia-Pari hit second. Robin Yount hit second a lot, as did Molitor. And it's nice to have those guys like Bush. And in Milwaukee's situation with Molitor and Yount, Pat Listach sometime hit ninth. And that just sets the table for the 2-hole hitter to be really like a 3-hole hitter. And this kid has done a great job.
Great speed. Fights that one off. This ball club, Toronto's #1 in stolen bases in the American League. Bear that in mind, and there's the #1 reason. Shannon Stewart, who leads it off for them.
And great percentages also. Stewart 30 bases in 40 attempts. Shawn Green 17 in 23 attempts. Cruz 11 in 14 attempts. And Bush at about 85%, 22 in 24 attempts. Actually 88%.
So if you're Pat Rapp or any opposing pitcher, last thing you want is any of these guys on base. And they got one right here. A 3-2 base hit to right field. Scott Nixon will get it back in. There is the second Toronto hit. So Bush has got a 7-game hit streak, career high for him, and he's on.
Well, one of the reasons he's going to be successful, his swing is very compact, short, doesn't overstride. About a 3-inch stride, doesn't try to do too much with the baseball, only 1 home run, but that's the stroke of a 300 hitter. Not a lot of play in his bat, not a lot of movement in his body, not afraid to hit the ball to right field.
So now Rapp will have to keep an eye over there on first base. Bush, who has 22, is 9th in stolen bases. And Shannon Stewart with 30 is first. Bush is on first, and Stewart's at the plate. Strikeout victim his first time up, and Rapp immediately steps off. Base stealers against Rapp are 19 for 24. You can run on Pat Rapp. He does not have a good move to first base. And Varitek, as we said, is at the average for Major League catchers, 28% throwing him out. The breaking ball misses down low. Ball 1 to Stewart, who's hitting at .310.
Well, Gary, the manager, Jimmy Williams, will show the catcher the directives. There will be slide step, step off, direct delivery to the plate. There you see him there. Pitch out. And then hold, where you just get on the mound and you hold the ball. So there's generally 5 directives to the catcher. He then relays that to the pitcher, and the pitcher does whatever the manager suggests.
Bush edging off. The artificial carpet gives you a read on hitters, Ray. If you see 1 foot of a base runner on the carpet, you got a pretty decent lead. If he gets 2 feet on the carpet, you better step off or throw over, because he's way off. It's one way to judge how big a lead there is when you're on the artificial surface. Watch, he'll get 1 foot up there on the carpet right there. And that's about as far as he's going to go. That's how a base runner judges a lead, too.
I thought that step-off move when I first started managing, or even when I talked about it with my coaches, was really something that was not effective. As I managed, and the more that I saw it, a lot of times the hit and run will be revealed with that step-off move because the runner will break. A lot of times in that situation, when you go to step off the first move, the batter will draw his back to bunt, and it will reveal something. So the step-off move is more of a information gathering thing than really to try to trick the runner. It's more to try to see what the offense is planning and trying to do.
And you hope to get the runner leaning the other way. If you can get him to think about a possible throw over and get him to lean back to first instead of towards second, you've won the battle. Slider misses outside. And the count is now 3-0 on Shannon Stewart, so no reason for Bush to be running here.
Well, what happens? A fake break here, and this is what happens to a pitcher that starts focusing on something other than the batter. He has not had any problem at all locating the strike zone up until now. When a runner gets on first base, disrupts his concentration a little bit, and that's why speed is so important.
And the pitch is on the outside corner. Stewart has drawn 44 walks. He has struck out 58 times. He's the #1 hitter, looking to set the stage here for the middle of the Toronto lineup. Willie Green in the #2 hole on deck.
You can bet the house here, Gary. 3-1, he'll run. I mean, he won't wait to 3-2. He'll run here 3-1.
3-1 count. There he goes. Push on the fly. Throw down. Veritek not in time. 23. Oh, no, stolen base. Ball 4.
Well, we knew he stole it.
He did. He was in there. Veritek obviously did not hear the call of the home plate umpire.
Great jump. Really good acceleration. Looks in just to see if there's any contact. Easily safe. That was your house that I bet, Gary.
That was my house?
Yeah.
Okay. That was a good house bet. House always wins anyway. One down. Runners now at first and second. And Willie Green coming up. Now, what we're seeing here is what potentially could happen to both of these pitchers. Both of these guys have looked untouchable through a couple of innings. Both of them are known to absolutely fall apart.
Right.
Start walking guys, forget what's going on, lose their focus. 2 on here, Willie Green. Takes the pitch inside. Green is hitting just .201. You think David Segui isn't going to help with a .283 career average as a designated hitter? Here's a guy, .201 as the designated hitter, the second lowest DH average in the American League. Willie Green. And that one's inside.
Well, I managed Willie in Cincinnati. We really thought he was going to be a fine hitter, but he just couldn't handle the ball on the inside part of the plate. We thought he was really a pull hitter, but he likes the ball out over the plate, cannot hit the breaking ball, swings at a lot of bad pitches down and in. If you get him to fastball out over the plate, he has a beautiful swing with a lot of bat speed, but he has a lot of holes.
Willie Green with 2 on. Ahead on the count, that one to center field. May have broken the bat on that, actually. Lewis hauls it in. He does not get the runners moved up. So Green retired. He's 0 for 2 in the ball game. Runners still at first and second, but now there are 2 down.
Another effect that speed on the bases has on a pitcher is that as he slows down and becomes more deliberate, the defense is not as focused on what's going on. So the whole team seems to slow down. So we had a real quick pace in this ball game. Rapp getting the ball and throwing it. Then Homer Bush on first base. He slows down, walks a guy.
Well, here's the guy who's come through for them all year. No score in the ball game, 3rd inning. And he went after the first one and popped it up at the plate. Veritek. He's got it, and Rapp works himself out of a problem. No runs, a base hit, 2 are left on. After 3 here in Toronto, no score. Hogs continue that race. Ripken shot at it as well. Baseball's offense continues to generate the news. It's not via the home run, it's the totals. Here's John Valentin leading it off against Joey Hamilton. Hamilton, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Valentin, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Veritek's double. The only ball out of the infield so far, and this one's not going to go very far at all. Hamilton. Valentin's out of there.
Joey Hamilton, after the double to Varitek last inning, conferenced with Fletcher. They changed their signs a little bit, and this is what happened. Usually they go to an indicator. They could go with the outs as the indicator, no outs being the third sign, 1 out being the first sign, 2 outs the second sign, as we see the umpire checking the ball there. The easiest way is the first sign after 2, or as they did, they went with the second sign. So we'll cover that a little bit more as the game goes on if we get some runners on second base.
These two pitchers don't seem to be helping us in that regard. And that one hit in the air to the gap by Dahlbach deep, and that's going to take a one-hop off the top of the wall. He's on his way to second base. Cruz will get it back in on a stand-up double. So the second leading rookie hitter. Dahlbach delivers again. He's on with a 1-0 double here in the 4th inning. That'll be hit number 2 off Hamilton. 21 doubles on the year for Dahlbach.
Just gets a fastball out over the plate there, up, belt high, and again, same pitch that Varitek hit, sets up outside, misses on the inside part of the plate. And again, when you miss 6-8 inches throwing to your target and you elevate with it, somebody's going to hit the ball hard.
RBI chance again for Boston. They left a runner in scoring position in the last inning with the leadoff double by Varitek. Now they've got a double here in the 4th.
Slider, fastball. If his first sign is going to be, second sign will be a slider.
Garciaparra goes after that one to left field. Easy play. Hauled in. Stewart's got it. Garciaparra, big out, 2 down. Dahlbach still at second base.
So they're definitely using the second sign. 1's a fastball, 2 is a slider, 3 is a slurve, and wiggle is a changeup. So you people at home will know what's coming. The hitter would if he had cable. Changeup 1, fastball. So probably going to sink the ball away. Yep.
It's amazing, you know, in this day and age. It used to be that stealing signs was something a lot of players and coaches went into because hitters wanted to know.
It's easy to do.
Now more and more hitters don't want to know.
They don't trust you.
They don't want to know.
It's because they don't trust you, because there's no hitter in the world that doesn't want to know. It's just they don't trust you. I know that when I was with Cincinnati and Houston, you know, we were always giving signs at second base. Taking a step off the bag with the right foot if it was a breaking ball.
Troy O'Leary, center field. Cruz. That'll do it. The Red Sox have had some chances. 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position the last 2 innings, though. Coming up at 10:30 Eastern, or following our game, the Arizona Diamondbacks will be taking on the San Diego Padres. Omar Dahl scheduled to go for the D-backs, and Brian Boehringer for San Diego. Padres trying to get out of a 6-in-a-row losing streak, and of course Tony Gwynn chasing down number 3,000. 10 shy of that right now. We mentioned the names of those who are looking for that 3,000 mark. Couple of hits tonight for Wade Boggs. Now he's got the 91. 2.990 for Tony and 2.960 for Cal Ripken. Magic number in baseball. And it depends on who you talk to as to how many people have 3,000 hits. There's a dispute about that going on.
Oh,
whether
really?
It's, yeah, 20, 21, or 22. Because of some numbers from some players who played a long time ago. Whether or not one's in and one's out. We have a moment here. We'll talk about that. Carlos Delgado hitting at 253. Big power hitter. Takes the pitch inside for a ball. Bautista and Fletcher due up. Delgado grounded out his first time up. 3rd in runs and 1st in strikeouts. Give you a lot of Ks and a lot of RBIs. Foul that one back. 88 runs batted in for him.
Over the last 3 years, 105 RBI average, 30 home runs. Last year, what a great season. You missed 20 games, started the season on the DL, missed 20 games now, only played in 142 games, had 43 doubles, 38 home runs, and 115 RBI. Pretty strong.
Very strong. 1-1 off the fist. These pitchers, There are very few balls being hit here in this ball game so far with anything on them. Even the outs are soft taps as Rapp jammed Delgado. One away in the 4th inning. Bautista coming up, flying out his first time up. We're talking about the 3,000 hits, Ray. It's Cap Anson, the man who's created the problem. There are some who give him 3,418, some give him 3,081, and some give him 2,995. Cap Anson's total hits have been in question a long time, and different experts disagree on what they are. They've gone back and reviewed the records trying to figure that out. He played back 1876 with the Cubs. So that's why it's unclear how many have 3,000. Bautista up. 6-game hit streak for him, batting at 273. Right field. Trot Nixon. Plenty of room. And there are 2 down. Let's check in with Trey Wingo. Trey.
All right, Gary, hard to believe, but the Phillies could be only 5.5 back of the Braves by the time this night is over. In the 4th, Mike Lieberthal turns on this Ryan Dempster pitch. His 20th. It's now 2-0 Phillies, and the Braves are struggling against the Brewers. Gary and Ray.
You know, Ray, one thing that happens, you know, at this time of year, particularly after the All-Star break, some teams start believing in themselves. Philadelphia got through the All-Star break believing. They believe.
They really do. And they've had players to really pick up and play well with Scotty rolling out. Arias has played extremely well. Relaford has been out. And they've just continued to, as we saw Kevin Jordan last night, got a couple of hits. You can't win without a bench. And they just look for those guys to come back rolling, get back in the lineup. But Terry Francona really has a special thing going there. Those guys believe they can play. They're a very young ball club, a lot like this Toronto club with Roland and Abreu.
They could give the American League East and National League East in the wild card race a little extra flavor, Philadelphia style. Darren Fletcher takes the pitch. 2-ball, 1-strike count on Fletcher. Grounded out his first time up. Fletcher's seen Pat Rapp a lot in his career. 9 for 35 off him lifetime. Rapp has now walked 1, struck out 3, and done a lot of that. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Hard to believe Rapp is 2-5 and hasn't won in 5 starts. The way he's throwing the baseball for Boston right now. Jimmy Williams got to be loving this. That 11-9 win last night put the bullpen to work, so he needs a quality outing. Swung on and missed. He just fooled him. Mercy. That's 4 strikeouts now for Rapp in the game, which sets the Jays down in order. Okay. So the Puerto Rican star at first base before the game. You look at his eyes when he says, "I believe."
This is the year. At the beginning of the year, we had a couple injuries that didn't help. But now, when everybody got back with the addition of Bautista, I mean, we show everybody that we can play with the big teams and we can contend and we can win. So in that clubhouse, everybody knows that we got a legitimate chance. So it's not that we're wondering and say, what about if we catch this team? No, we know that we can play. So we're on a mission.
Well, speaking to the ball players on the ball club as well as Jim Fregosi, Delgado, the undisputed leader of this ball club, and there's no doubt in my mind that he believes that they can play, and certainly with the addition to Segui to this lineup and the addition of Bautista there. And another idea, too, Tony Fernandez has played great at third base, but Bautista has been a third baseman most of his career.
Butch Husky crunches that one to center field, but it'll be hauled in by Cruz. 1 down.
And with Bautista being a third baseman, when Rodriguez comes back, you can always move Bautista right over to third. And Tony Fernandez, with the great year he's having, still getting up in age. And I've talked about this ball club being very young. So Bautista, a great addition, even when Gonzalez comes back. Homer Bush, just 26 years young.
All these guys with something to prove, too. And Jim Fregosi the same way. It's interesting, right? For the manager on down through this team, you've got some players who've been elsewhere. The manager's been around Philadelphia last time, hadn't managed since '96. He gets guys like Bush, like Bautista, like Tony Fernandez, who've always been kind of there but never there, right on the edge but never made it. Fregosi knows all about that. I mean, he's had that kind of luck as a manager as well. And they've all been, you know, he and the players he's coaching, it's all been said of him, yeah, you're good, but you're not good enough. And they've kind of got that attitude going, oh, yes, we are. And one misses inside. Jason Varitek. One down. Varitek delivered a double in his first at bat. We're in the 5th inning. Both of these pitchers have given up just 2 hits. They both have 4 strikeouts. And they've got 4 scoreless innings going. Joey Hamilton and Pat Rapp. Another shot. Same place. Right into the middle. It'll be cut off by Cruz. He'll make the throw in. Not nearly in time, and a double picked up by Varitek. So the Red Sox have 3 doubles in this game for hits. Varitek's got 2 of them and 24 in the year.
What you need to look at is the location of pitches. We mentioned about the pitches getting back over the plate, and that's almost the exact same spot. 3 doubles, same pitch, same spot. 2 to Varitek, 1 to Dahlback. He just cannot get the ball down on the outside part of the plate. Every time that Fletcher sets up away to a left-handed hitter, Hamilton gets the ball in the center of the plate.
Another RBI opportunity. Here's Donnie Sadler. Sadler came up and struck out in the 3rd inning when Varitek was on at second base. He tried to bunt twice. Couldn't get either of them down. They're not looking for a bunt here because there's already one away. And Sadler rips at the center, but an atom ball. Cruz is there. 2 down. Sadler making the start at second base tonight, and yes, Jose Offerman's available, Ray, and he's sitting and watching.
Well, he's really struggled the last month and a half with the bat, and defensively he's always had shortcomings, and this young player is great defensively, and when you're trying to win ball games, you put your best defense out there, especially if a guy doesn't have pop. Offerman only with 5 home runs. If you had a guy, I hate to say it, but Mo Vaughn, and he's struggling, you know that he can hit a big home run and drive in 3 runs with 1 swing of the bat. Offerman's not going to do that.
Trot Nixon. His fly ball to left center field. And the Red Sox again do not get it done. A 1-out double. Couldn't score. Sox are 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Down the opposition so far.
Well, we've talked about signs and the relaying of signs. This is the best way to communicate it. Fletcher and Joey Hamilton in the dugout discussing signs. You see Hamilton, he'll put up his 3 up to his chest right here in a second and talk about what they're using as their indicator, because they've had 3 runners on second base, and you mentioned the 0 for 9. Was it 0 for 9 that you mentioned?
7.
0 for 7.
That's
Not bad,
9
brother.
minus 2.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that. I knew that. Pat Rapp has walked 1 and struck out 4. He has 1 victory this year against Toronto. He's won in 1 lifetime. Tanez will be leading it off. Bottom 3rd of the order. Again, he popped out his first time up. Hitters 272 off Rapp coming into this game. And that one down the line and right will edge its way towards foul territory and end up as a souvenir. A lot of smiling faces. I want to remind you this copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. They used to have who had to express the consent. Now it's just express consent. So I suppose we could, Ray, you could give consent, or I could, or anybody. Well, so Tanya's up there batting just .216, and he takes the fastball away. 1 ball, 1 strike. He wouldn't do it for free, of course. But 1 ball, 1 strike count. Rapp misses outside with that one. This battery is still working together on the bench. Hamilton and Fletcher. They're both veterans. And another couple of guys who've been dealt around different teams. Almost not quite kind of players. Popped that one up behind first base. Sadler's got the angle. Nixon may call him off and dies. And that'll put him away. 1 down. Trey Wingo
Gary and Ray, the Yankees' Chuck Knobloch not in the lineup. He's got dizziness. Paul Konerko is in the White Sox lineup, and he's creating dizziness of his own. Off Andy Pettit, this triple into the right field corner will bring in Carlos Lee to make it 1-0. Sox have added another, make it 2-0. They're trying to snap that 3-game losing streak. Back to you, Gary.
Chicago, another young ball club that's trying to stay around 500. They'll consider themselves successful if they can do that. Yankees with a 7.5 game lead. They're going to win the East. Fouled off. Jays and Red Sox will do battle for the wild card spot. They should down to the wire. The A's are still in it as well. There's room for other clubs to jump in. I really think at this point in time the Blue Jays are a better ball club than Boston. And I think the addition that they made today of David Segui in that trade from Seattle is only going to help. Cruz called out on strikes his first time up and bounced in the dirt. In all honesty, Jose Cruz is one of the players in this team they consider to be a bit of a weak link in center field. Yes, he is not a particularly good defensive player, hitting .235. And they could move the outfield. Jim Fregosi said, look, Segui can play the outfield once in a while. And I can move somebody around here and put Stewart over in center and have Segui play out in left field. And he will be used that way a little bit. Segui's going to play first base, a little outfield, and probably a lot of DH. And Fregosi loves all three of those situations and a chance to move people around.
Also, he has a young outfielder named Vernon Wells that started in A-ball, moved to AA really quickly, stayed there for only 2 weeks, and now is in AAA, just 20 years old, right-handed hitter, 5'2" player. So this team just keeps on producing young prospects.
2-ball, 2-strike count. Cruz already the strikeout victim once. A little pop. He's got 10 home runs. Pull the ball once in a while. That one jammed on the inside again. That's 5 strikeouts picked up so far by Rapp. There are 2 down. I want to remind you, Sports Center coming up on the Deuce at 11 o'clock. The trade deadline in baseball Saturday. Details of trades made and trades that might be made. National Football League underway as well. The Barry Sanders story all coming up on the Deuce. 11 o'clock, Sports Center. Here's Homer Bush. 303 now with a single, 7-game hit streak as a result of that base hit he picked up in the 3rd inning. Red Sox 3 hits, Blue Jays 2. Bush fouls that one back.
We talked about the great curveball that Pat Rapp has. Look at the rotation there how that ball breaks. It looks like it breaks 2 feet down. When he has that pitch, he can make it very tough for hitters. The problem over his career is he's not been able to get that pitch over and make it look like it's somewhere in the strike zone. They're just 64 pitches, 2 hits. Again, a real clean line, all the crooked numbers and innings pitched and strikeouts. This is the best I've seen him throw in 5 years.
Probably the best the Red Sox have seen him throw. Homer Bush with the 0-1 count on him. And a broken bat comebacker. Played well. Wow. They are on a roll right now. He retires the side in order. That's 8 in a row retired by Rapp. We're here after last night's 11-9 Red Sox win. Exact opposite kind of ball game being played here. ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball. Gary Thorne, Ray Knight, and our crew. Great to have you with us here at Sky Dome in Toronto. Darren Lewis leading it off. Lewis looks for the bunt base hit, and that one no chance as he put it back. He's 0 for 2. He has popped out, struck out. Joey Hamilton has walked nut and struck out 4 so far. Hamilton last year walked 106 batters in 217 innings. I mean, that is atrocious. His strikeout ratio 147 to 106. This year 27 walks in 70 innings. He's brought that ratio down in his favor a bit. Started to go, and Lewis stepped out on him. Go 2 deliveries inside. Boston with their win last night, a chance to win 2 in a row. They haven't done that since the 4th of July. That's how the Red Sox have tailed off, even though they are still 54 and 46. And Rapp right now hasn't made a start since June 22nd. He's getting it done for Boston. Trouble is, the offense hasn't produced. Missed outside with that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Red Sox 6th in runs in the league. Toronto comes in 3rd in runs. And a chopper that literally off the plate, going to be a tough play. Got a flip, not in time, an infield single. Not much question about that one. So the leadoff man is on. Lewis with an infield base hit. Check in with Trey Wingo again. Trey.
All right, Gary, Rangers and Orioles after a brief rain delay. No score in the second. Charles Johnson, .333 lifetime batting average against John Burkett. Just inside the line. Todd Zeal can't get there. Delino DeShields and Will Clark will tally. RBIs 37 and 38 for Johnson. It is now 2-0 Baltimore. Gary and Ray, back to you.
Trey keeping us updated on all the other games going on. Speaking of Baltimore, here's a man a lot of teams wanted. Lenny Webster just acquired. Signed as a free agent today. Joining the ball club. And he's going to help him. Another quality player, veteran, to take you down the stretch. Webster will be working off the bench for Boston in the outfield. John Valentin up now. Valentin hitting at .258. Runner at first base. Swung on and foul tipped into the mid, held on to by Fletcher. 0 for 2 in the ballgame for Valentin, who has struck out, lined out softly.
Well, we're in the 6th inning here. Now Hamilton still throwing the fastball around 94, 95 miles an hour. So he hasn't begun to lose anything velocity-wise.
And has not walked anybody, Ray, which may be the most important note tonight on Hamilton.
You know, Gary, you mentioned that, and I remember early in his career when he was with the Padres and I was a coach in Cincinnati, he had great control. Went right at people. You know, he had an earned run average of 2.93 his first year in 96, won 15 ball games that year. And every year since then, his earned run has gone up at least a half a run a game. And when you look at his stats, his walks have increased also. Finally, he's back. We mentioned Dave Stewart, assistant GM here, saying that he hasn't had anything to do with it. Mel Queen's made the adjustments.
Down to third base. There's one. The turn, and not in time. Delgado came off the bag in a hurry. Bautista got it to Bush, who made a pretty good pivot. They'll get the force out. Valentin will reach on the fielder's choice.
Watch Delgado here. This ball was jammed. He just takes it for granted there's not a chance for a double play. He comes off the bag way before the ball even gets there and concedes it. The ball is right there. Again, another look. A good turn. Coming across the bag, making a strong throw. And Delgado just stepping off the bag there. No reason. Not even attempting to stretch. Weird look.
That was really strange. He gave the umpire no choice on that call but to call him safe. Might have had a chance had he stayed on the bag. Brian Daubach up. He delivered a double in his last at bat. 1 for 2. 322 average for the rookie, who takes it down low from Fletcher, who comes out and tries to quiet Hamilton down now. Saw Fletcher just put both hands up as he walked out in front of home plate. Hamilton starting to rush it a little bit.
Well, that's what he does. Again, high energy guy, one of those guys that really digs deep, really hard on himself, always has been.
Rips that one left center field. Stewart over. Two down. Well, the Red Sox have hit some atom balls in this game. Some pretty good shots. Few to center to Cruz, and that one out to Stewart. But Hamilton's living right now. Daubach's retired. Now he's 1 for 3 in the ball game, and they're 2 away. Only 2 runs in the last 20 innings off Joey Hamilton in his last 3 starts, including tonight.
Great movement there on the fastball end. Really been tough on the right-handed hitters tonight. Left-handers have got to 3 base hits, other than Lewis, actually 4 base hits, but that was a chopper off the plate. 3 line drive doubles, all left-handed hitters. Varitek with 2 doubles, and Daubach with the other double. Both, I mean, all 3 of them in the right center field gap.
Garcia-Perez starting the day 3rd in the league in average, trying to keep an inning going here. Pushes that one out towards right field. It'll fall in front of Green for a base hit. So a 7-game hit streak for Garcia-Perez. He delivers a hit, 1 for 3. Red Sox with a couple of singles here in the 6th inning. They're going to have to manufacture a run, though, with 2 away.
Nomar has just a classic inside-out swing. Look, this is a fastball out over the plate, and instead of pulling it, he drives the ball to right field, staying on top of the ball. Hits 300 every year, and because he can take that ball to right field, doesn't try to pull it.
He's got a chance to do something that hasn't been done in a long time. In fact, he and Jeter are in the running for a batting title. Shortstops have not won many batting titles. The last one to do it was Dick Groat for Pittsburgh in 1960. And the last American League shortstop to win a batting title was Snuffy Sternweiss in 1945 with the Yankees.
Well,
I had no idea it had been that long since a shortstop had won a batting title, but Groat in 60, the last one to do it. Now you got Jeter leading the league, and Garcia-Perez 3rd.
Well, there's been such a change in the shortstop position. For 100 years, all it was a defensive position. They put their best defensive player, usually the weakest offensive player, at shortstop. And over the last probably 20 years, it's become an offensive position. Oftentimes producing more than the third and first baseman, which have always been offensive spots.
Snuffy's first name, and for those of you who are baseball fans, was George. High heat, swung out and missed. He won a batting title that year as a shortstop for the Yankees in 45, and really one of the only big years he ever had. 284, Troy O'Leary up there. Big cut, Husky waiting on deck. Runners on at first and second. Red Sox again looking for that big hit. That's where he's been all night with that pitch. 3-2.
Just a good spot. Buries that fastball inside part of the plate. Doesn't get it back out over the plate as he has to previous left-handed hitters.
2 down, 3-2 inside, and the bases are loaded. That is the first walk given up by Hamilton, and O'Leary is on, and the Red Sox have loaded him up here in the 6th inning with 2 down. Now they will conference at the mound, as with the bases loaded, Butch Husky's going to be coming up. You can bet Mel Queen, the pitching coach, wants to be sure that they know how to pitch Husky, since this is a new member of the Red Sox the Jays saw for the first time last night.
Well, I can help him a little bit. You got to bust him in with the fastball, keep the fastball in on his hands, preferably up and in on his hands, and then throw breaking balls away and pitches short on top of the plate. He's a fastball hitter out over the plate, drives the ball extremely well to right center field. Will hit the breaking ball if it hangs to left field, and then can go down and get the ball down and in. So you just crowd him around his hands and throw him breaking balls.
Butch Husky, crowd him in.
That's a lot of sinkage right there. The only way you're going to hit that pitch solid is rip it foul about 40 feet.
Bases loaded, 2 down, scoreless ball game. Butch Husky taking on Joey Hamilton. Husky 0 for 2 tonight. Sends that one to right field. It is way back. Goodbye, home run, grand slam for Butch Husky. That's why they got him.
Well, they didn't turn the double play at first base with Delgado, which I thought he had a legitimate chance to make it. And they didn't follow at least the National League pitching charts, because you can't throw Butch Husky anything up out over the plate. After burying a fastball in, comes back with a fastball up and out over the plate.
Another fly ball deep right field by Jason Varitek. Warning track and will be hauled in by Green. So the year of the Grand Slam continues as Butch Husky delivers his 16th home run of the year. His first for the Red Sox, and it's the big salami. Up his 8th home run of the year, a grand slam to Butch Husky, his 2nd career grand slam, and the Red Sox take the 4-0 lead.
Well, you can't throw him up, and that's exactly where it is. Up, out over the plate. And no matter how much you talk to pitchers and tell them what they need to do, go over scouting reports, you still have to put the ball to a hitter's weakness.
About the little things, Ray, that we talk about in baseball over and over and over. He issued a walk in that inning to keep the inning alive. They didn't turn the double play at first base. Delgado came off too soon. Could have been out of the inning. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Didn't. 4-0. The little things that make a difference. So now the Red Sox up. Shannon Stewart, first ball, hitting center field. Way back, but in the yard. It's 400 to straightaway center to get to the wall. Lewis hauls that one in. Stewart's out of there.
The double play that didn't happen that we alluded to here, Valentin gets jammed a little bit, but hits the ball pretty solid. Third baseman makes a perfect throw. Bush comes across, sets himself, and just right there, Delgado just gives up on the ball. What you should do right there, you should be completely stretched, almost a hamstring spread eagle type stretch in order to make that double play, and then come off the bag cheating, where you're trying to, if you feel the runner is going to beat it, you just come off the base early, but you do it with commitment or passion or something. You know, you don't just
got to sell it.
Sell it. That's right. You got to sell it.
Willie Green. And Green, broken bat, bloop, left center field. O'Leary. And there are 2 down. So Husky, who joined the Red Sox yesterday, could have 2 home runs for the Bo Sox, because last night he had one that, when the video was looked at, certainly looked like it was a home run, but it got called back and he ended up with a single on it. He made sure he took care of that tonight, drove it a little further.
Well, every manager likes a guy that when he swings a bat, there's a little bit of thunder behind it. And Husky, whether he hits 230 or 250 or 260, is always a threat. And he's the type of guy that you get to down 5-2 in a game, you want him to get up there with runners in scoring position, because he can bust the ball out of the ballpark.
16 home runs on the season. Jimmy Williams breathe a little easier with a 4-0 lead. Especially the way Rapp is pitching right now. 2 down, nobody on, 6th inning. The Blue Jays have just 2 hits in this game. Green got a single in the first inning to extend his hit streak to 26, tying the Toronto mark set by Olerud in '93. He fouls that one back. The other was a Bush 1-out single in the 3rd inning. That has been it off Rapp. Butch Huskies delivered the 4 RBIs for that grand slam home run. He's only got 3 bats with him, talking with him for the game, because Seattle was on the road when he got traded here 2 days ago, so he had to take the bats he had with him, and he's only got 3. Red Sox have a day off tomorrow. Butch Husky's going to go back to Seattle on the day off and collect some of his stuff, and then come back to Boston, and Red Sox will play Friday. He'll be there. A little gum chewing going on. Nice shot right there. That's baseball. Sean Green out in front of that one, fouls it off. Red Sox trying to catch Toronto in the wild card race, and the Jays only have a half-game lead. The A's 4 behind. With a victory by Boston, they of course will flip-flop with the Blue Jays. That's what's at stake here. Granted, a long way to go. Nevertheless, these matter. Sean Green, 2-2. And the count is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes. One walk, 5 strikeouts for Rapp. (3-2) to Sean Green. Ripped it way foul.
Boy, he has a quick bat. That's 3-2 pitch. He chokes up. Smart hitter. last year, the first time he ever struck out over 100 times in his career. But watch how quick he throws that thing. No rush on his body, no help. That's all hands. Just throws the hands right at the ball, just like Ted Williams did. I mean, this kid is inbuilt in the way that he approaches his mind. Pretty good company now.
Pretty good company. Swung on, hit in the air to center field. And to reach for that one. And it'll be the easy play. And Rapp continues to get it done for Boston. He's retired 11 in a row. Hamilton at one pitch to Husky. You'd like to have that. Fly right now over in the West. They've won their last 9 and have an 8.5 game lead over Oakland. Our Pet Boys in-game box score. You see Valentin a run. The run scored by Garcia Parra, O'Leary, all because Husky drove one out of the yard with the bases full. Grand slam. 4 or 6 hits tonight for extra bases for the Bo Sox. Our Pet Boys in-game box. And we go at it here in the 7th inning. Donnie Sadler leading it off. Sadler batting in the 8th spot is struck out and flied out. A couple of hits in 7 at-bats in this series. Just 194, but bear in mind Sadler just being called back up. Sadler's playing in his 17th game. He's had only 37 at-bats. Shallow center. Bautista will be called off out there, and Cruz will put it away. Sadler retired, 1 away, 7th inning.
You're mentioning earlier about Toronto. You think them being a better ball club than the Red Sox, and I agree with that. When you look at the two lineups, except for Pedro's matchup with anybody, the Toronto Ball Club looks deeper. And when you look at the stats on the two clubs over the course of the season against the league, Boston has the second best pitching. Most of that is due to Pedro. They're 10th in the league in fielding. They're 9th in the league in hitting, 9th in the league in home runs, and they're next to last in stolen bases. Whereas Toronto on the other side is right up there in the upper echelon of everything. And, you know, those things usually hold up.
Broken bat off the end of it. Trot Nixon to left. Stewart hauls it in, which may be just further proof that pitching wins.
Well, that's true, because you look at the Blue Jays, they're 6th in pitching. They're 6th in hitting, 6th in home runs, 1st in stolen bases, 6th in runs, and 5th in defense. So they're right in the middle of the pack, or in upper 30% of everything in their division. But again, head-to-head matchup. It just seems that the Blue Jays have had no chance against the Red Sox.
Amazing. 7-1 in this series this year. The Red Sox with the advantage, and they're leading here 4-0. 2 down in a hurry. Joey Hamilton, who has walked 1, struck out 4. Lewis up 1 for 3, a single in the 6th inning that kicked it off.
Well, that grab it, 1 for 13 against the Yankees, 1 for 7 against the Red Sox. Those are the 2 teams ahead of them. They must be beating the heck out of everybody else.
Yeah, that's not a good number against the teams you're competing with. Trying to catch combined 1 for 13 against the Yankees and Red Sox. Lewis with a 266 average and a 2-ball 1-strike count. Grounded towards second. Easy play. Bush will make it, and that'll do it. So Hamilton retires the side in order. ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball from Toronto. 7th inning stretch time. Red Sox lead. Game box score for the Blue Jays. You can see not much. The hits, Green with the 1 for 3. Down at the bottom, Bush a 1 for 2 single. It came with 1 out. Stewart's picked up the only walk. So Toronto's just not been able to get it done. They've left only 3 on base and only 1 in scoring position. The reason is 32-year-old right-hander Pat Rapp.
Well, Pat Rapp has not gone 7 innings since April the 18th against Tampa Bay. So he's in that no man's land for him. And as we talk about that, the Boston Red Sox and Jimmy Williams thinking the same thing. Bullpen is active.
Bear in mind, he's made 10 consecutive appearances in relief from June 22nd through July 22. So the bullpen up. Lowe and Cormier, Merrill Cormier, Derek Lowe. Last start was June 22nd for Pat Rapp. Works into the 7th inning. Delgado's taken the 0 for 2, has grounded out twice. 0 for 7 lifetime off Rapp. Middle of the order. Big inning right here with Bautista, Fletcher, he can retire the side in order here in the 7th inning. Red Sox pitchers, he or anyone else, may not have to face it again. That is a foul ball. Just missed.
And what you have with the Blue Jays is left, right, left, right, left, right in the batting order, which Jim Fregosi is really good at. Only the two greens, Willie and Sean, are left-handers stacked up. So what he'll try to do is he'll probably allow him to get one runner on base. With two runners on base, Williams will probably make the move, but I imagine he'll allow him a little bit of breathing room.
Off the fist, foul that one back. Delgado checking the bat. Rapp has been efficient so far in this game. Pretty good number.
Yeah, what I see great numbers, and what he's doing differently is he's throwing the ball. Our reports and what I've seen him 86 to 88. Tonight he's been around 90, 91. So his fastball has been good enough that his off-speed pitches, like that curveball and his changeup, have become effective. What he's done is he's mixed in the breaking ball, which has always been his out pitch, along with his fastball, which generally is his second pitch. But tonight, throwing a lot of fastballs for strikes, and come back and throwing his breaking ball not as often. But he's picked up 3 or 4 miles velocity coming out of the bullpen as he's gotten stronger during the summer.
Delgado waiting on it, takes it down low, and the count goes full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Looking to get that leadoff man on. Now, no leadoff batter for Toronto has reached base tonight, and Pat Rapp came into this game retiring leadoff batters only 58% of the time. That's atrocious.
That is atrocious, and I don't like him throwing a curveball 2-2. He's got a 4-run lead there. He needs to throw a fastball 2-2 and let the hitter do whatever he's going to do.
And Delgado fights it off to keep the count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Leadoff man trying to get on. 7th inning for the Jays, who are down 4-0.
And this is where pitchers get in trouble. That's why they don't get past the 7th inning. You have a 4-run lead. You get 2-2 on a hitter. That's the time that you got to make it happen. You go right at him with the fastball. Don't fool around with that curveball. Then he came back with the fastball. Throw the same pitch 2-2 that you have guts enough to throw 3-2 and get the inning rolling.
Try it again. Delgado waiting, and a second again. What a catch made by Sandler. Can you believe the positioning and what it's done tonight for Boston defensively? He has denied Toronto 2 hits in this game because he's playing shallow right field.
Well, he is, and that just goes to add to the point that I'm making. Let your defense work. You've got a 4-run lead. Don't build an inning there. Here's a fastball right down the middle, smoke, but you've got 8 guys out there behind you, 7 guys out there behind you. And again, 6 feet, 7 feet behind the line, making a great play, showing about 30 feet of range there on a bullet.
Donnie Sadler has had a night at second base. Foul back by Tony Bautista. Bautista's gone 0 for 2 with a couple of fly ball outs. So again, Toronto does not get the leadoff batter on. There is Jose Offerman. He's applauding the play at second base for his team, but personally,
I don't know if he is. He doesn't act like he's applauding much to me.
Sadler keeps playing like that. He's going to be watching more of these games.
Hey.
Offerman not starting. Swung on, foul back, bad cut. Bautista got fooled and chased that one. Jose Offerman acquired, of course, to take the place of Mo Vaughn, even though that's not really fair to say that, but that's what ended up being the case.
He doesn't want to be shot. See, he's got a little attitude problem right now. We can look at you, buddy, if we want to. Hey.
Hitting 167 in July. That's another reason he's watching the game. Tony Bautista, 272. And a chopper back to the mound. Rapp's got it. What a job. 2 down. He's fielded his position, too. Speaking of guys who field their position, Trey Wingo.
I could never go to my left, Gary. Here's the good news for the Cubs. Sammy Sosa at the plate in the 9th inning. Contact. His 37th of the season. He's now tied with McGuire for the Major League lead. However, the Cubs lost the game 8-2. More hitting going on in Tampa Bay. Wade Boggs 3 for 3 in this game. Devil Rays lead it 4-1. He's 8 away from 3,000. Gary and Ray, back to you.
Troy, the year of the home run obviously continuing. McGuire and Sosa still going at it. I saw some numbers the other day, Ray. It really amazed me. In the 80s, all of the 80s, there were 40-plus home runs hit 13 times.
Last year, there were 13 players with 40-plus home runs.
My gosh.
More than the entire 80s. This year, I looked today, there are 18 players who have a chance to hit 40 or more home runs. Home runs are up 10% this year after the great home run season last year.
Yeah, I don't know how you explain that. You know, they always talk about expansion, inflating things, and pitching is thinner. But there are just too many people hitting balls way deep. I'm talking, you know, instead of the 385-foot home run, they're hitting them out there 410, 415, and a lot of talk about the balls being wound tighter and all that stuff. But
you know, in the breakdown in the article I read, when it really started was the last expansion. The 93, that was when it exploded. And I think that's about pitching. Speaking of which, deep center field, in the yard. That'll be hauled in. So Rapp has retired the side in order again. That's 14 in a row set down by Pat Rapp. Pat Rapp, now tell me. You tell me the truth now. How are you? You all right? You all right? We got to win this game. You all right? I need to know. I'm all right.
I have honestly, I only managed right at 2 years in the big leagues. I never went to the mound and a pitcher told me that he wanted to come out or that he was not all right. But I played with the great pitchers, Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan, and when a manager came to the mound, immediately say, I'm done, Skip. So that's the difference of knowing yourself.
Well, we'll see. He said he's all right. John Valentin goes to right field. Green is there to put it away. Valentin retired 0 for 4 for John Valentin, leading off the 8th inning. Last 14, he's retired. Third start against Toronto this year. He's given up 3 earned runs in 18 innings against Toronto. He's loving pitching against the Blue Jays this season. Great shot of Sky Dome. Not the Sky Dome. Sky Dome. They instituted that a few years ago. Brian Daubach up. He's had a double and 3 times to the plate. And fouls that one off. You talk about Rapp pitching better than anyone expected. Ray and I were just looking at a number. His career rate is 14.5 base runners per 9 innings. It is the highest total of any active pitcher. Tonight, he's given up 1 walk and 2 singles.
I was blown away by that stat. That's the most of any active
pitcher.
Well,
Not tonight.
You think about it. That's an average of 10 hits and 4 walks a game, and that is, I mean, it's shocking.
Yeah, it is. But tonight it's exactly the opposite. Rapp is shutting out Toronto on a 2-hitter and says he wants to go some more. Brian Daubach with 1 down. Fouls that one off. Counted 2 strikes as he got jammed that time. I mean, Joey Hamilton hasn't pitched badly here. 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, 6 hits, but one of those, the grand slam off him by Butch Husky. That is the ball game right now.
You know, good hitters just don't miss fat pitches, and Butch Husky certainly didn't miss that one. And going back looking over the game, I mean, he has pitched Hamilton a great ball game, and the 4 balls that have been hit hard have all been in the same location. Fastballs up and out over the plate. So he's made 4 mistakes and he's down 4-zip.
Yep. And you got an opposing pitcher doing what Rapp's doing. That's all it takes. Daubach takes that one away. 1 ball, 2 strike count on the Red Sox first baseman, as Hamilton here in the 8th inning can't give up any more. He knows that. Toronto still well within striking distance at 4, but you don't want to go above that.
Boy, that was a good pitch right there. 2-2, 1-2 pitch. Catcher sets up inside, and he just throws that ball right there. Umpire calls it a ball. Joey Hamilton throwing the ball to spots consistently. But look right here. Catcher sets up inside. The ball just goes right there. Right there. I mean, if that ball is inside, it's not inside more than an inch or 2.
2-2 delivery. Went away from him that time. And that'll end up in the seats. And remains a 2 ball, 2 strike count. Well, if it stays like this, it'll be 3 consecutive quality starts for Hamilton, even if he loses this game. That's a bright sign for Toronto. I mean, they still got a chance to come back here, but
it really is.
That's a good sign for them.
It really is. David Wells has struggled a little bit of late, or actually a lot of late.
Yeah. 3-2.
Pat Hinken has struggled. Holiday has pitched really well. You get Hampton going. Chris Carpenter with a 3.45 as you look at the phenomenal Don Frascatore really this season.
Swung on and missed, so he came back and got him. 5 strikeouts for Hamilton. Want to remind you, ABC Golf, a very special Motorola Showdown coming up at Sherwood. It's David Duval and Tiger Woods. It's live Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific. This is head-to-head match play. Al Michaels, Mike Tirico will be there. Duval's won 11 PGA, Woods 10 PGA wins, including, of course, the 97 Masters. Monday on ABC. Showdown.
I'll be watching it.
Showdown. 4-0 lead for the Red Sox here. Omar Garcia-Parra, the double in the 4th inning, or the single rather, in the 6th inning. Puts that one out to left. He's got another one just under the reach of Bautista. So Garcia-Parra 2 for 4. He already has a 7-game hit streak going, and another multi-hit night. Bautista just out of his reach, shallow left field.
But you don't get these type of base hits unless you're willing to hit the ball to right field. A slow breaking ball, off-speed pitch, probably the softest pitch he's thrown all night, and he stays back just enough, lags a bat, and gets the blooper in there because he's not trying to pull the ball.
Thus, has that average, which is 3rd best in the league. Troy O'Leary drew a walk and a big one in the 6th inning, the only one Hamilton has given up. It allowed Husky to come to the plate, and that was the grand slam. O'Leary has had only 1 hit in his last 14 at-bats, including the 0 for 2 tonight. Batting at .284 on the season. Runner at first, 2 down. Line to center. Another atom ball. Hauled in by Cruz. No runs, a base hit. 1 left on. Bottom of the 8th inning. Time running out for the Jays. Of the game. Longest hit streak Toronto history equals tonight on that single by Sean Green in the 1st inning at 26. Then the double play that didn't happen, 6th inning. Valentin, the first baseman. Delgado came off too soon. That allowed the inning to go on, and Husky, after a walk, delivered a grand slam home run, and that is all the offense the Red Sox have needed so far. 4-0. Now the question is, can Pat Rapp continue on in this game and hold Toronto down? You saw him say to Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach, "I'm okay." Craig Graybeck is the pinch hitter, and he takes a strike on the outside corner. Graybeck at .369. He is a singles hitter. He'll lay one down when given a chance. Valentin's trying to deny that chance as he has moved in at 3rd. Graybeck takes the pitch outside from Rapp. 1 ball and 1 strike. Toronto trying to get their leadoff man on for the first time against Rapp. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and just 2 hits. Craig Graybeck lost his job to Bush at second base. Slider misses outside, 2-1.
Again, I take exception to that pitch. 1-1 to a little slap hitter, 4-run lead, and you throw a breaking ball. I mean, it's like he's trying to punch people out and make them look bad. Now, you know, he's pitched a heck of a ball game, and I'm just saying that'll drive you crazy as a manager. I mean, now you're 2-1. You've got to throw the fastball. I mean, get out of there as soon as you can. Go with your best stuff and forget about it.
Inside. So Rapp wanders around a bit here, 3-1.
I think he's done. 88-mile-an-hour fastball. He's been throwing 92, 93. That's 5 miles an hour here. I think he's done. I mean, if I'm sitting there watching him, this is his last hitter for me.
Lowe is in the bullpen. He'd been up earlier, so it's not going to take him long to get ready. Here's the 3-1. Graybeck wants the walk, and he was ready to take it, but a strike called.
Again, velocity at 88, and this is a pitch that you get when you've been around the plate all night long. This is a pitch It's up and in. Umpire calls it a strike.
Graybeck now with a 3-2 count. Tough strike zone. Rapp has worked his way back again. He's done that all night. And throws one down the middle. 3-ball, 2-strike count remains. Graybeck's put up some really fine numbers for this Toronto ball club this season.
Pat Rapp, 97 pitches for the game. Already mentioned that his longest stint of the year all the way back from April the 18th. 7 innings against Tampa Bay.
3-2. Red Sox leading it 4-0. 3-2 delivery. And again, fought back. Graybeck just wants to punch it. He's only struck out 13 times, 111 at bats, throwing 15 walks. Rapp's just got to keep coming at him. And Williams, of course, thinking about how long do I go with my starter. Last complete game, Tampa Bay, May 13 last year. May 13 last year for Rapp. Graybeck drives that one left center field. He got some pretty good wood on that ball, but it'll be playable. Hauled in just shy of the wall. O'Leary's got it. One away. Let's check in with Trey again. Trey Wingo.
All right, Gary, last night the Yankees battled back from behind to win their 7th straight in Chicago, and they're battling back from behind again. Joe Girardi slapped one through the left side, scores Bernie Williams. This game is now tied at 2. Gary and Ray take it away.
Looking for another come from behind win, the Yankees. Here it is 4-0 Boston on top. Rapp comes back, gets the out. Leadoff batter retired. Not one is reached in this game in 8 innings for Toronto. Jose Cruz now batting at .234. Struck out twice in this game. And chops that one foul. Of course, the trading deadline is coming up here Saturday midnight Eastern time. Deals have to be done if you're going to get players who are eligible for postseason. Boston, Kevin Apier's name continues to pop up. Whether or not they can go get that starter, maybe. Toronto acquiring David Segui today. Help at the plate and in the field for them. You think there are going to be a lot of deals made between now and midnight Saturday?
Oh, there always is. There's those, 11th hour deals, and there's clubs out there that really need a lot. You look at teams like Cincinnati that's playing extremely well. They need a starting pitcher. Now, everybody needs a starting pitcher except maybe the Yankees and Braves.
And that will make the play in a hurry at first base. Staubach got it. Want to remind you, ESPN Magazine, new issue, just out. On the front, a couple you won't believe. Oh, my gosh. And inside the trade day, that's what we're talking about. Peter Gammons takes a look. Now it's coming down. It's on your newsstands right now, ESPN Magazine. You can, of course, make trades after the trading deadline, but you got to put players through waivers, and anybody worth a pinch doesn't get through waivers.
No, there's some general manager out there that claim everybody.
Yeah.
And the way that works is descending order with the best records going last.
Breaking ball is in there for a strike. Homer Bush, 2 down, nobody on, 8th inning. Bush had a single in 2 at-bats so far. Pat Rapp's cruising along right now. Toronto's not been able to find a way to get to him. Only 2 hits. Bush had the last one in the 3rd inning. There hasn't been a batter on for Toronto since the 3rd.
Well, what you look for is drop in velocity, which Rapp has begun to do. And you start looking for balls that go awry in the strike zone like that. He's got that 4-run buffer. Came back after a favorable call on Graybeck.
Missed inside with that pitch. 2-ball, 1-strike count on Homer Bush.
They know
he's the pitching coach on the right.
Yeah, they know he's on that last little bit of gas.
That's why you keep the bullpen ready. They're just standing around, staying loose, just in case. Great advantage of that 4-0 lead, of course, is that they'll give, as Ray said, Rapp a little leeway. You can get a base runner on, maybe a couple, but probably just one, and then he'd be out of there. Strike on the corner. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Husky has delivered the grand slam and is due to lead it off in the 9th inning for Boston. Hope he can get through the game with his 3 bats and then go home and get the rest of them tomorrow.
I just wonder why they won't ship them here for him.
Yeah, that's what I asked him. He said, well, I just decided that since we had a day off, it'd be easier for me to go home, and I got to get other stuff, and I can get that. Check swing. He missed it. Play's got to be made here. And good scoop at first. Back on the throw by Fletcher. So the side retired in order in the 8th inning. 17 in a row set down by Rapp. Pitching coach saying that's it. Obviously, Rapp wanted to go a little bit further and try and get the complete game. But he got the job done, and the Red Sox needing the win. Rapp knows that. Head down a little bit. Look, he's got a 4-0 lead and a chance to pick up his 3rd win and his best performance by far of the year in this ball game.
He really pitched a heck of a ball game, exceeding 100 pitches and really gutting it out that last inning. He started to struggle. You could see him puffing and huffing on the mound and was able to get through that inning. Great job. As we look at John Frascatore there, great season he's having. 2.12 earned run average in 16 ball games, giving up 18 hits and 17 innings pitched. Comes right at you with a good fastball and slider and split finger.
6 wins in his last 11 games, vying for that moniker of vulture. Has been handed around baseball for a while. Those are the relievers who come on in close ball games and have their teams come back, and they end up with the win. Man has done the damage. Butch Husky in the 6th inning with a grand slam home run, his first in a Red Sox uniform, accounting for the 4 runs that the Red Sox have in the ball game. Husky was 16 on the year, 1 with Boston. That one misses outside by Frascatore. A 2-ball, 1-strike count. Frascatore 2.12 ERA. And that's 6-0 record out of the bullpen. Staying outside, he saw that home run, missed with it though, and the count goes to 3 balls and 1 strike. Always saying they get late innings like this, team up 4-0 once, at least 1 more. That big 5th run, so that a grand slam cannot tie a ball game up. And it won't. Deep to left field, way back at the warning track, looking up. Goodbye, home run. Butch Husky. And Dan Duquette's going, I am the GM. And there's the 5-0 lead. 2 home runs in the ball game for Butch Husky, and this is 2nd game with the Boston Red Sox.
And I ask you a question, partner. Where does he like the ball?
Up and out.
And where was this ball?
Up and out.
Okay. And didn't he show them last time he could hit a high pitch? Yes. This was around his chest. But we know that.
Everybody
knows that.
A 5-0 lead as Frascatore greeted with a Butch Husky dinger. You must keep the ball down and away from Butch Husky. You must. And neither Hamilton nor Frascatore did it. And Husky is a mistake home run hitter. You make the mistake, he'll hit it.
And the amazing thing is, both of the pitchers that he hit home runs off of tonight, he has faced numerous times in the National League.
And they know, or should know.
Well, they know. It's just sometimes
can't get it where you want it.
Right.
Veritek, backhand play. Bush scooped at first. Good play by Delgado. 1 away here in the ninth. So the Red Sox looking to win 2 in a row, and Butch Husky's the reason.
Yeah, last night I was back at the studio, and we actually saw that on replay, and there was a towel sitting right back there on top of the wall, and the ball hit right on top of that, and that's right where the relievers sit out there in the bullpen. So it was definitely a home run after we saw it in slow motion. But certainly from the angle of the umpire, it looked as if it hit the top of the wall and came back in.
Today, he has driven him out. You see, that's where it can hit behind the fence there. And that box they're sitting in should be a home run, but that ricocheted out so fast, very hard to tell. And Butch Husky said it today before the game. He said, I couldn't argue about it because the umpire ran out to make the call. He was where he was supposed to be. David Wells, who took the hammering from the Red Sox last night. And Husky, the man who's doing the hammering again tonight. Donnie Sadler at the plate, 5-0 lead, 1 down, nobody on. We'll foul that one off. Sadler's difference in this game has been defensively, not at the plate.
I want to make a point about a difference in a guy like Butch Husky and a guy like Jose Offerman in your lineup. Jose Offerman has been a good major league player, and he's struggling a little bit with the bat. But the thing about him is he has to be hitting around 300, 320 in order to really help you and drive in a lot of runs. Butch Husky can hit 220, and he's a threat every at bat. I mean, it's just like when I played with the Mets. Who would you rather face, Ray Knight or Darryl Strawberry? In most situations, Darryl Strawberry. When I was hitting 300, I was just as apt to drive in a big run. And that's when Offerman swing the bat really well, then you have him in the lineup, and he can drive in a big run. But this guy, Butch Husky, you keep in the lineup all the time because he's just that dangerous.
Perfect role, designated hitter, the American League for him with Seattle. He was using the long ball there as well. But Seattle obviously doing a little house cleaning. Husky said, I was not happy when I originally learned it. I love Seattle. I love the new ballpark. I love the area. Love my teammates. He said, after I got over here and had a chance to meet members of the Red Sox who I did not know before and get a feel for what's going on with this ball club and a chance to be in a pennant race, he said, quickly understood how fortunate I was to be here in this situation, and I'm happy to be here. And boy, are they happy to have him right now. Donnie Sadler, ground ball up the middle, and that's going to be a base hit. Frascatore backed off that, as pitchers are generally taught to do, but the trouble was that was hit hard enough to go all the way through. Let's check in again what's going on elsewhere. Trey Wingo.
All right, Gary, the White Sox and Yankees continue to go back and forth. The White Sox keep taking the lead. The Yankees keep tying them, and the White Sox take the lead again. Chris Singleton lives up to his last name, Singling, scoring Craig Wilson, and it's now 3-2 Chi Sox. Gary, back to you.
Chi Sox trying to get back, as we said, to that 500 mark. They've got some pretty good offense. Boy, their pitching really struggled. Trot Nixon up. 1 down, 1 on. Red Sox with 9 hits in the ball game. And Frascatore misses inside to Nixon. Nixon's 0 for 3 so far. 5 hits, though, in his last 13 at-bats. He's been a hot hitter. Left field, Stewart was playing in, over his head, right off the base of the wall, big jump. Sadler read it, going to be waved home. Here's the throw to the plate, and he's in. Underneath the tag of Fletcher. He got a big jump with only 1 away. Sadler read that one. He never hesitated on believing that ball was not going to be caught. And the Red Sox have a 6-0 lead. Nixon, the RBI, double.
Well, a lot of that has to do with the reaction of the left fielder to the baseball. Shannon Stewart started toward the ball and then started jogging right there, knowing that the ball is over his head. And as a good base runner, you look at the reaction of the outfielder, knowing that there's not a play on the ball, and he ran all the way, was able to score right here.
27 RBIs for Nixon.
There's home plate blocked extremely well by Fletcher, but you always go for that foot that's on top of the plate hard with your foot and kick it out of the way.
So the Red Sox, a 2-run 9th inning so far, still only 1 away. Sadler scores. They've had a home run, single, and a double off Frascatore in 4 hitters. The leadoff batter, Lewis, chops that one. Darren Lewis foul outside of third. Lewis 1 for 4. So the Red Sox 10 hits, 6 runs, 10 hits. They've done a number on the Toronto pitching staff in this short 2-game series. And that one line towards the gap. Stewart over and will make the catch. Runner halfway will go back. Lewis retired for the 2nd out. Been a busy man out there in left field. Lewis hit the ball hard enough tonight to have 2 or 3 hits. Instead, he's going to take a 1 for 5 in all likelihood for the night's work.
Yeah, the ball he hit the shortstop was a rocket. The ball he hit there's a rocket. The only hit he got was a ball that bounced off the plates.
Yeah. Beat it out. Here's John Valentin. Valentin 0 for 4 tonight. Batting at .257. Runner at second base, 2 down. Valentin laces that one left center field way back. And goodbye, home run. John Valentin. A 2-run shot. And the Red Sox have an 8-0 lead and 2 home runs off Frascatore here in the 9th inning.
Well, that earned run average is going to take a beating. 2 outs, 3 runs, 4 runs. It's going to go to about, probably jump up about 2 runs.
Frascatore is 6-0 coming into this game, and he's going to come out right now. That is home run number 9 for John Valentin, a 2 RBI shot, and Graham Lloyd, the left-handers, coming in. Valentin, oh my, right in the wheelhouse. See ya. He was coming from a 7-3 deficit last night to win it 11-9, and tonight with an 8-0 lead over the Jays with Rapp throwing a 2-hit shutout. Third pitcher on now. This is Graham Lloyd coming over in that Clemens deal from the Yankees. And that one hit by Dahlbeck to deep right center field. That's way back and hauled in by Green. So 1 pitch, he gets the 3rd out. Frascatore 2/3 of an inning, 4 runs on 4 hits. Rapp will stay and watch. The bullpen will come on. 2 home runs hit in the ball game by Butch Husky. John Valentin with one of his own, and the Red Sox have an 8-0 lead going to the bottom of the 9th.
ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by 10-10-3-2-1. Now just 8 cents a minute for calls over 10 minutes. And by Wrangler. Real, comfortable jeans.
Welcome back, everybody. Gary Thorne, Ray Knight, and our crew here in Toronto, Canada. They're not going to give up. Bottom of the 9th inning. Red Sox leading it by a score of 8-0. Pat Rapp has a chance to be part of a shutout, looking for his 3rd win. Great performance, 8 innings, no runs, 2 hits. He walked 1 and he struck out 6. Retiring the last 17 batters he faced. Pat Rapp will watch now as Tim Wakefield, the knuckleballer, comes out of the bullpen. With Flash Gordon on the DL. Wakefield is a closer. Obviously, this is not a save situation. He's got 13 of them. Throws almost nothing but the knuckles. Yeah, sometimes all the way to the screen.
This is the only time that you'll ever hear me say it's okay to throw a knuckleball with an 8-run lead. Because his fastball is about 78, but look at his knuckleball coming right at you and selling. Can't even catch it. But I won't tell Tim Wakefield that he has to throw fastball.
Shannon Stewart to center field. Darren Lewis is there, and there's one away in the bottom of the 9th inning. But Toronto never got a leadoff man on in this game. Baseball tonight, coming your way tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Carl, Dave, and Tim are going to be there. In progress highlights, a look at the latest information with a trading deadline coming on Saturday. It's baseball tonight, 10 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN. Wakefield being brought in here really to rest the remaining bullpen members. Wakefield pitched last night. Usually you will not use a reliever 2 nights in a row, especially your closer. But the bullpen has been used a lot by Boston. They get a day off tomorrow. Wakefield with that knuckler, it really doesn't matter how much he throws. So he'll come on here, and if he can get the side out, gives everybody else in the bullpen a long rest. And striking the inside corner.
You're right about that. A knuckleballer, as Phil Necro proved and Hort Wilhelm, I mean, they can throw to their 50 years old. The big thing is their legs. Eventually their legs give out.
Green popped that one up. Garcia Parra's got it. Red Sox will get Pedro Martinez back on Tuesday. He threw yesterday and today, hard and long toss. Felt great, so he'll be off the DL Tuesday and will start for them. We do understand, though, that Tom Flash Gordon is probably done for the season. He has tried to throw. Their closers tried to throw yesterday, and it hurts. They're going to have a re-examination of the MRI, but right now the Red Sox people believe Gordon is not coming back, and that is bad news. That means you've got a knuckleballer, Tim Wakefield, as your closer. That is living dangerously. You bring a knuckleballer in the 9th inning when you got a 1-run lead and a couple of guys on. Look out. And the Red Sox know that. Sean Green up, 2 down. There's the knuckler right there, bouncing away. 2-ball, 2-strike count. So the Red Sox pitchers who coming into this game had given up 10 or more hits in 10 of the last 11 games. Tonight have given up 2. And Rapp looking for the win. Wakefield trying to wrap it up with 2 down here in the 9th and a 3-2 count. So Rapp, his first win in his last 5 starts. Foul back off the knuckler that time. Wendell Kim, third base coach, talking with him there. Joey Hamilton, the starter for Toronto, their pitcher of record.
Well, we know it's not about base running.
No. It's about winning. The Red Sox a chance to win their first back-to-back game since July 4. They've got the 8-0 lead with 2 away in the 9th. 3-2 delivery on the way, and he missed inside. Wakefield gives up the walk. So Green is on. That is the first base runner since the 3rd inning when Bush had a 1-out single. There you see 1-13 against the Red Sox and Yankees, the teams they are chasing. And they're going to drop another one here tonight.
Well, you have to beat the teams ahead of you. I mean, that's just elementary. Because in essence, it's a 2-game swing when you don't.
2 down. Delgado 0 for 3.
To explain that statement, if you come in and you're 3 games out and you lose the first game, then you go to 4 games as opposed to winning it. You'd have gone to 2 games. So
they can flip-flop those positions. The victory here tonight, the Red Sox will move a half game ahead of the Jays in the wild card spot. Carlos Delgado against Wakefield. And Knuckler floats away. Fletcher able to knock it down, keep it in front of him. Green's not going to go anywhere at first base with an 8-0 lead here for Toronto in the inning. Veritek, rather, knocked that one down behind the plate. Can you imagine being a catcher when your closer's a knuckler? I mean, you got to die 1,000 deaths. You see how Veritek tries to bring the ball in. That glove he's using looks like a first baseman's mitt more than a normal catching glove.
Well, you're actually not really trying to catch the ball. What you're trying to do is somehow keep the ball in front of you. You see his legs and knees shift on every pitch that Wakefield throws. I mean, it's an 8-0 ball game. As you mentioned, what happens as he walks Delgado? What happens if there's runners on second, third, or first for that matter? You just take off with Wakefield because you know the catcher's going to have a tough time handling the ball.
Yep. So there are 2 on. That's why those runs, 4 runs in the 9th inning for Boston meant so much to make it 8-0. 2 on now, but with 2 down. Long shot for Toronto. Bautista back up, and the knuckler's inside to him. 0 for 3 tonight for Bautista. A chance to extend his hit streak, which is now at 6. Tony Bautista batting at .270 on the year. 6 for 13 lifetime. Good numbers for Bautista off Wakefield. He's taking all the way, just trying to get on here. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Hamilton, 4 runs, 7 hits over 8. The starting pitcher. For Toronto, Frascatore, 2/3 of the inning, 4 runs, 4 hits.
Well, if the Red Sox can be patient, Gary, you've got Pedro coming back on Tuesday. Ramon scheduled to come back in mid-August. Pena scheduled to come back in mid-August. And they're going to live and die with their pitching. And if it boils down to late season situation, you may see Jimmy Williams go to someone else. I mean, because you have Rapp, who's thrown extremely well tonight. You have Brian Rose, who's thrown extremely well. If you get Ramon back and Pedro back and Pena back, somebody else could take that spot.
That's it. Wakefield gets the strikeout, and the Red Sox a combined shutout. Butch Husky, 2 home runs, including a grand slam, as the Red Sox win at 8-zip. Rapp's 3-5. Hamilton, the loser, 3-6. And Butch Husky, the big offensive star, and Rapp, the big pitching star here tonight. John Valentin also delivered a home run, his 9th of the season. But the Red Sox put it to him in these 2 games. Big crowds on hand. About 75,000 came out to see these 2 teams go at it in this 2-game series. For Ray Knight, I'm Gary Thorne here in Toronto. There's your final. Remember, another game coming up. Lots of scores next. Red Sox win it 8-0.